And we are live. Welcome, everybody, to the Monday Mastermind. We are so glad that you are here. We've got a jam-packed session for you. And today, let me just go through the panel quickly. I'm just going to go through the panel quickly to introduce everybody, to see how everybody is doing. Oh, come on. What's happening? Hold on. Hold on. I've got something playing in the background.
What's the matter? I'm good. We're good.
I can hear myself.
Did you mute? You have to mute the page there?
Yeah, I put something playing in the yes.
Mute yourself.
Okay, I should. There we go. All right. Cool. All right, so I just shut everything down, and I'm playing right now. Okay, so everybody, welcome again. We will make this intro happen again, and we hope everybody's doing well. I had a little bit of an incident on Saturday. I might as well have stuck 4,000 needles in my eye. I did something really bad with the contact lens because I only wear one contact lens, and I put my contact lens in without saline solution, and it stuck to my eyeball like a son of a bitch. It was horrible, and when I got it out, my eyeball was glowing red. It was really, really sore, so I had to be blind for the whole day. So that was the way people introduced me and say, hey, this is Dave, he's blind, and I couldn't see anything. So that was my deal on Saturday. And my buddy Bruno had a field day with it. He kept on saying, oh, you can't see, that's right. And I can't, I couldn't see anything.
I'm sorry, I gotta interrupt you for a second. I just imagined myself introducing you to like a shrub, and you're like, oh, hi, miss.
Yeah, it was hilarious. I was I mean, you can imagine me putting preparation H on my toothpaste or whatever. Anyway, so that was my experience on Saturday. That was interesting. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and introduce Pops. I know Pops has recently had a haircut because he told us, but I did notice it. I got to say, I did notice that. Pops, how are you doing? How are things going? I believe you guys are on the way back home now to fetch some mail.
Yeah, actually, I'm doing great, thanks. And we are in, where the hell are we?
Naples.
We're in Naples, Florida. I just drew a blank. We're in Naples, Florida. And my brother is here for, well, till the end of this month. His wife and he comes down here for 6 weeks. And my sister and one of their kids flew in, so we've been hanging with them for a couple of days. And it's been really a lot of fun. And tomorrow we have mail that got delivered today. We'll probably pick it up tomorrow, and then we'll be back on the road. We're heading up to Orlando to a Ray Higdon event. That'll be on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And we're excited about that. There's going to be a lot of big guns that are going to be there. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to get to meet and hang out with and rub elbows with all kinds of cool people. It's going to be awesome. We're very excited about it.
That's amazing. That's really good, and that's what traveling is all about. It's about to be able to get out there and meet all different types of people. Speaking of people joining us, you'll see that we have David Roden on here. We got Maria. We got Robert. A whole bunch of other people. If you are here, please don't forget to say hello so we can greet you and give you a shout out. We're so glad that you joined us. And with that being said, I'm going to go over to Mr. Jamie Shaw. Jamie has had quite an interesting time. Jamie, you want to show everyone your certificates, man?
Yeah, I had a kind of a rough weekend because, Friday, as a lot of you know, I buried my uncle. So it was kind of a rough day, but I got right back on the horse and I finished my NLP practitioner certificate. And while I was downloading it, I just happened to start digging in a file because I was cleaning up some computer stuff, and I found my first cybersecurity certificate. I forgot I had it, but I did my life coaching certificate here a couple weeks ago, finished it up, and then I started working on my NLP practitioner certificate, and now I'm in my master's certificate. So like Pops, is into the coaching stuff. I'm into it too, and I didn't get into it so much just to coach. Just I got into it to fix things that are wrong up here and know how to fix my brain, and then how to fix other people's brain as well. So my weekend was kind of interesting, and I was telling Pops a story before we jumped on live. I'm in cybersecurity. I got a couple cybersecurity classes going on and stuff right now, and I was just searching government websites to see what kind of jobs were out there, and I found an information security analyst. And all day yesterday, I'm arguing with my wife because I want to take this information security job because it's a government job, but she said no repeatedly. And when she started pointing her finger at me, I knew I was in trouble because the job was in Alaska, and I kept trying to point out to her, it's $187,000 a year. She said, I don't care. The point's it's in Alaska. I don't want to hear it no more. So I let it go.
Well, yeah. I mean, you want to do what your wife says, right? You've got to. You can't be disagreeing with the wife, all right? Happy wife, happy life, as far as I understand. So that's awesome, man. I see we've got Jovi on as well, and yeah, we've got Jovi and Tom. If you're watching, we just want to say hello to Tom. Tom joined our group, Tom Donovan, and we just want to say welcome to you and welcome to our actual group. We're looking forward to working with you. And Tom was one of the guys that took massive action this week and joined us, and he's on the road to success like a lot of other people. And including Shamila, who's had an amazing day today, and we just want to say congratulations to Shamila. And if you don't know what Shamila did, go and look her up on Facebook, and also don't forget, because next week we're going to be listening to Shamila. She's going to be sharing that amazing experience with us and how she's actually just exploding in her business, and we just want to celebrate that. So with that being said, we want to get on to the main event tonight, and that is we're going to be hearing from Kati Stage. Kati Stage is going to be telling us her story tonight. And, one of the reasons I want Kati to come back and tell us a story is because she's going to be explaining to us exactly what it was that got her to actually take these huge steps and these huge actions to the point where she started to see massive success. So with that being said, I'm just going to throw the studio over to you, Kati, and you can take it away.
All right, I appreciate that. So I just want to say welcome everybody in the comments. I'm so glad that you're here. I just want to start by saying thank you. I really do appreciate this community. It's so amazing. So I kind of want to take you back in time a little bit when I had a car, because before this adventure, I sold my car, so now I don't even have a car anymore. So I was driving my car, probably on the way home from work one evening, and listening to some training I had invested in the year before. And by this time, as I was driving my car, listening to this training that I've already heard about a dozen times before, I have been trying to figure out how to make my internet marketing business work. But on this particular drive home, for some reason, something happened. And it's something that was said in that training that it was like something new. It's like something I never heard before. And what was said was something like this: if you want to be successful, you have got to start your own hangout. Now, mind you, this was before I met Dave. We've all heard him say this. This was before Dave. So I heard this person say this, and that was it. I was like, all of a sudden, there was a light bulb that went off in my head. I'm like, that's it. That's what's missing. That's what I have to do. So I started my own hangout. And in the months that followed, I interviewed thought leaders, 6 to 7 figure earners, $1 million earner, at least one, brand experts, seasoned marketers who have been in the industry for more than a decade. So that's awesome when you get to interview one of those guys. Those are cool. So there was these couple of things that changed for me in that whole process. And the first lesson that I learned is I had a piece of training that I listened to over and over and over again. And today, you guys know this, that there's so many different ways that we can obtain information on multiple different platforms, and that it's easy to jump from info to info to info. And we listen to it once. I'm guilty of this recently, is I listen to it once and then I want to go off running and listen to the next one, right? And trying to absorb as much information as I possibly can. And it's actually, it wasn't like that back in the day. I'm not trying to say like back in back in the day, but it was like way before I started online. I hear these stories about, particularly listening to one of the seasoned marketer who's been in it for a decade. This is the kind of story that I've heard, is that back in the day, all they had access to were cassette tapes. Now, millennials, cassette tapes, go ahead and go to your senior generation and ask them exactly what a cassette tape is. They'll tell you all about it. It was before CDs. Yes, there was something before CDs. Now, if you don't know what a CD is, go ahead and ask that question as well. So they had cassette tapes, and it was more rare to obtain just that. So it's like you had to know someone who knew someone who had these cassette tapes and get a copy for you. So that's how rare it was. Can you imagine that? There was really no such thing as overload information, right? Like we have today. No such thing. So if you can imagine that. So what happened back then is that you get these cassettes and you listen to them over and over and over again, and putting that repetition into practice to feed your mind with the information that was really important, that actually told you exactly what you needed to do. And that's what's missing today, because we have this information, but we don't do that repetition. So there's no more repetition at all. So take that and in consideration, and take that piece of information and just wear it out, right? So the second lesson that I learned is I took action. So I found this information, it hit my brain, I was at the right time, at the right place to take that action. It made sense to me, and that's what an aha moment is. That was a burp, I'm sorry. An aha moment is that it just makes sense, and you just want to take action, and you just want to implement it and just test it. I want to prove this. I want to see if this is actually going to work or not. So moving forward, on a particular Monday night, I was on a mastermind call, and I heard a story of a cop who went through this horrific hell while on duty that pretty much left him with multiple injuries that led to about, like, I don't know, like 13 surgeries on his body, his arm, and just some nasty shit that happened. And he was bedridden. And thank God that he survived. But what broke my heart about his story was that he wasn't, what happened after that is when the doctor came in and told him he couldn't do the thing that he loved. He couldn't go back to do what his passion. To me, he was already living his dream lifestyle. He wanted to become a cop. He was following the footsteps of his dad, and he's just, I think his whole family, like a couple of family members was in there that was a cop as well. So he wanted to follow in that he was in that lifestyle. So to me, in my eyes, he was already living that dream, but it was taken away from him because of this incident, and he just wasn't able to go back to work. He actually wanted to be a police officer for the rest of his life. And it broke my heart when I heard that. His call inspired me, and I wanted to get him on my show. So I found out who he was, reached out to him on Facebook, and asked for an interview. And we got on the phone and we talked for a bit, and that's just the way that this person is, right? Pat Patterson is his name, for those of you who couldn't guess that. But so we got on the phone. He was more than happy without even thinking twice. He was happy to do it. He's like, yeah, I'll definitely go on your show. And he asked, well, when is it? And I said, well, it's Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern time. He's like, oh, well, That's actually the same time that I have my show. I know. Why don't you come on my show and you can tell your story? I was like, okay. Little did I know that that incident would change everything, absolutely everything for me again. Because when I got on Pat Patterson's Wisdom Wednesday to tell my story for the first time out in the public, which is fine, but that's when I met Dave Rainica, or how back in the day when Pat used to say Rainicki, Rainicki, right? Renicky or whatever he said. Anyways, it was so funny. And it was Dave who then taught me this YouTube strategy called the SAM method, which is the South African method. So SAM, the SAM method. And I was actually getting leads. They were coming in left and right. I was getting sales. People kept joining my business, and I kept, you know, it just kept showing up, right? It just kept going, just kept happening. I just didn't know why. It just worked, right? And then I got on the leaderboards, and I was getting recognized, and people started to ask me for an interview. And I was actually a guest on the company panel as a rising star. I was on Cloud frickin' 9. So how cool is that, right? So here's the lesson number 3. I was taught a strategy, and even though it took me some time to learn the strategy, to implement it, to get the skill just right, I eventually got results, which boosted my confidence. Because those of you, you know, who know that, it boosts up your confidence big time when you start getting results from a strategy. It showed up in my marketing. It showed up in my attitude. It also taught me the importance of creating space for people to come into your business. And I actually want to bring this up a little bit later. I want to talk about this just a little bit later. And I wanted to find out from people in the comments here, even if you have never brought any sales yet, I want to talk about how you should create that space in order to bring those people in. You have to create that space. But for now, my third lesson is I was taught a strategy by someone who used it to get results. So then I implement the strategy until I got results. How freaking simple does that sound? Right? I mean, could that be the secret? I don't know. That is kind of the secret. But at this point, you could say everything was going pretty damn good for me, right? Pretty damn good. I was on cloud 9, but something happened. Again, it actually put everything to a halt. And the company that I was building with, my income with, took a different turn that it was in the direction that I didn't want to go, right? Not only that, they actually changed their comp plan. So I don't know if anybody actually had that happen to them when they changed their comp plan. I've heard it before in the past. People usually say it's bad, but when they changed the comp plan, it's like the first time it ever happened to me. I'm like, oh, this really sucks. I mean, it's like you have to learn something new, and it really wasn't in everybody's favor. It was like anybody who was at the top 3% was going to win, and everybody else was going to lose. I'm like, how am I going to bring somebody new into that? So that was actually my fourth and actually final lesson that I'm going to bring to you today in this short story that I'm sharing with you, is that never put all your eggs in one basket. So I just wanted to go through that and just share with you those 4 lessons that Dave actually helped me go through and figure out and try to bring this to everybody's attention, because I had a few Mondays ago, I had told my story and I didn't know quite how to put it together in a way where it could benefit you. Yeah, it's fine that I can just sit here and tell my story and say 31 jobs in 17 years, that's fine. And I can tell you how I felt maybe in every single job. But I think what was most important that I had to bring forward is I wanted to bring you in and put you in that moment and the certain things that changed in my life. You know, there's certain events that happen that if I would have quit the first month or the first 3 months or the first, you know, year and a half or just over 2 years, if I didn't stick with it, I wouldn't have had these events happen, and I wouldn't have had these certain skills, and I would have not have met these people and you guys in the comments, and people, you know, people wouldn't have walked in my life, and it wouldn't have changed me. I would have had to go back to the thing I don't want to ever go back to, because the 9 to 5, honestly, it doesn't sit well with me. It just doesn't. So I didn't want to. I was in a space where I didn't want to. I had nothing to go back to. So the only choice for me was to move forward. So I just hope you guys got those 4 lessons. And before we, you know, I turn it back over to Dave, because I want to talk about something that Dave and I went through together with the story, is that this space that you have to create for people, that's something that I did not create when I first started, because it was all about me. And I understand that when you first get into business, it's all about you. You have to figure this thing out. But you just know that you don't have to be alone, because that was the difference between me, is that I was doing it all by myself, and I was afraid to ask questions. I was afraid to reach out to people, which I had, but I didn't ask the right questions. I wanted them to give me the answers, but instead they pointed me into like, okay, go to this module or go to this module. Oh, you'll find that there. And I got upset, which honestly, they were really helping me. But when you're sitting here and you're watching this right now and you're looking at me and you're hearing my voice and you have never had a sale yet, but you're still working it, that's okay. That's okay, because what's going to happen is that you're going to keep moving forward. You're going to keep meeting people, keep networking, start talking to people, to come to our hangouts in our workshop, ask us questions, be here with us too, and let us know what's going on, because we could give you that aha moment that could just like, oh my gosh, that makes sense. It doesn't mean everything that you've done in the past is wrong. It's just you can add that certain twist that kind of makes sense to put everything together, and all of a sudden you got yourself like this thing that you can use to get your results. So when you start getting those results and people start following you, they start coming in, and maybe you start getting leads. Let me just start from the beginning here. So let me just say that when you start getting leads, you have to have a space for them to come into. So you've got to make sure you have an autoresponder. If you want to pulse people from the internet and find people on Google, you have to have a website and start blogging. So you can share your thoughts to the world about what works for you, or share your story, or share stuff that you've learned, so people can find you, follow you, and say, hey, this person really knows what they're talking about. Oh, this is their passion. That's pretty cool. I think I agree with you. Hey, me too. You want to get those people to say, hey, I agree with you. Me too. I want to run with you. I want to do this with you. So you have to get a website. So create that space so they can find you. If you have an opportunity, make sure that when they do come in and they buy your opportunity, make sure there's a community. Make sure that there's a space for them to connect, whether that is to start your own hangout, start your own workshop that we have every Saturday with our group, right? And just say, hey, this is what I have. You have to make sure that you have this ready, instead of like, oh my gosh, I have a lead, now what? I don't know what to do. Do I tell them to do this or this or this? Just make sure you have that space in order to not get lost, I guess. Now I'm losing my words. But Dave, if you want to come on, and let's talk about some things here.
I just wanted to address something that you mentioned, and that was the fact that you did something. It was almost identical to what I did. I mean, you hear an audio, and then you decide that, okay, so I gotta start these hangouts. I gotta start making a hangout, because you heard somebody say that. And this was because you listened to people over and over and over again. You finally decide, okay, I'm going to start a hangout, and you start introducing these people. And when you get introduced to these people, the more people you listen to, you came across a person that decided to give you a chance or give you more than what you bargained for. And as a result, you jumped on Wisdom Wednesday, and we got introduced. Now, what's interesting about that is if you listen to my story and the way that I actually got a sale, what I was doing is I was trying to better my skill of making videos, and I was trying to find how I could do that better, and I was doing research and finding out from other people how I could do it better. And I bumped into somebody who actually gave me a shot, and albeit it was $25 for 25 ads, and they got me out there because I just kept on working. And it's the same principle, that if you keep working towards something, if you keep on going towards the end, if you keep working towards it, you're going to get there. And this is exactly what we've all been through. We've gone through a process of trying to work through something. We just never give up. We don't give up, and we carry on working. I mean, you made what, $2 and something in 2 years, but you kept on working. And as a result, you've got to the position where you are now, where you're traveling around the States with your dad, and it's an amazing thing to do because you never gave up. And as you guys will hear next week, Shamila, had a similar thing where, she just never gave up. And this is exactly what we're trying for everybody to understand. You need to understand that, you might say, well, what was that one thing you did? The one thing we did is we just kept on looking for something that we could do. And then we just kept on working at it until we got better at it. And you develop a skill set. So, when I gave Kay the SAM method to go through, and I explained what it was, she just kept working at it. She kept working at it every single day, and she started to get results. She started to get exposure. She started to get leads. She started to get sales because she never gave up. And that is ultimately what it comes down to, right? Hey, Katie, it's not just about finding a simple formula and then bang, you're successful. It's about working at something until you get better at it. It's about doing something until you actually get a result. And this is
one of the things that changed for me was I've had 31 jobs in 17 years. Every job that I went to, there was a process that I had to go to. I had to have a mentor who had to teach me how to do that job first before I was able to do it on my own. And I had to do that repetition of making sure I knew what I was doing, whether that was meat cutting, driving a school bus, or doing process serving. There's laws that that I have to follow in order to not get sued or get arrested. There is, jobs like when I worked at being a bartender, can't overpour. You have to do the right, waitressing. There's things that you have to know what to do before you are set, right? Before you're on your own. So there's skill sets. So that's exactly it. I took it that way. I took my employee mindset and turned that into, okay, I have to learn these skill sets in order to turn it into something and turn it into, master it. And I can be on my own and put my own twist into it, my own stuff, right? You know what I mean?
Yes, I do. And it's, but you decided that you were just going to meet new people until you got somewhere. It's like you just decided I was going to keep on invading people's space until somebody was prepared to give me a bit more, and you just kept on doing it. And this is exactly what people do, is that somebody gets an idea for a company, right? And so they say, I've got this great idea. So they go to a bank or they go to somewhere and present their idea and they get rejected. And then they're just saying, oh, well, it's not worth it. But the people that actually get things done are the people that don't just go to bankers. They go to people of influence. They go to different people who have different reaches, and they say, what do you think of this? What do you think of that? Until they get a result. I mean, Colonel Sanders, Kentucky Fried Chicken, he went through something like 60 or 59 people before he got a restaurant to take on his idea before he even got a result. And he was in his 70s, before it became successful. He just never gave up. And you know, that is a theme that runs through everybody here. You know, you're in an environment. If you are here and you're part of our group, you're in an environment of people who have had successes. And the truth of the matter is, if you stick around us long enough, you're going to find out that, hey, maybe these guys have a point. And then you're going to be saying, well, gee, maybe that actually makes sense. And then you're going to say, well, maybe I should do exactly what they're doing. And if you hang around us long enough, you're going to say, whoa, that actually does work. And you get results. I mean, look at Shemaya. She made a tremendous sale today, and that's just amazing. All right, we will celebrate that. Yeah.
What I wanted to bring it to attention here is, just real quick, in the comments, I want people to put in the comments, if you were here the Monday that I told my story, that was like, what, 3 or 4 Mondays ago? Let's see, 1, 2, 3 Mondays ago? Yeah, 3, I think it was 3 Mondays ago. I want to just put in the comments, see if you guys were here. And I want to know if you guys knew that there was a difference, because there's a reason why I'm saying this. Just let me know if there's a difference. I knew I was a hot mess because I was afraid to tell my story. I told you that I was afraid to tell my story. And there was kind of a reason why I did that. One, because I didn't know exactly how to put it together. I was nervous because I don't like talking about myself. Two, I wanted to kind of bomb it a little bit because I knew Jamie didn't like to tell his story, so I wanted him to do better than me, which he rocked it anyways. What do I got to worry about, right? He doesn't have anything to worry about. He rocked it, and I wanted Dad to feel, Pops to feel better because of that. I had that all in my mind. I was just all over the place, and I didn't care. I was drinking wine. This is pomegranate juice tonight, guys. Okay, but tonight there's a difference because Dave taught me within 10 minutes a specific strategy on how to tell my story, and I implemented it, and I felt more confidence. I felt like I could do this, and I did it, and it was a complete difference. So just by having these guidance and actually reaching out to somebody and see, hey, I'm having a problem with this, would you be able to help me out? And the worst thing that can happen is no, and then you can go ask again. It's kind of like going through the no's until you get a yes. And that one yes outdoes all those freaking no's, doesn't it? It like those no's didn't even happen. It's awesome. Anyway, yeah. But yeah.
I mean, that's an amazing thing. And to come back and to retell your story is amazing. I think that's an amazing thing. And it's proof of the fact that you're surrounded by people who want to help you. It's proof that if you surround yourself with people who are successful, you can go down that road. You can actually get there. And this is why we are so thankful for everybody here. There are so many times that I've been in a situation where I've not been able to do something, and Katie's gone back. Katie's there to help me out, or Pops is there to give me some advice. And Jamie, I can't tell you how many times Jamie has saved me from a bit of mess that I've been in, and because these guys step in because they want to help. And you know, it's because we want to be here. Nobody's paying us. Nobody's paying us to be here. I mean, I gotta say, you know, for people that don't get paid to be on a hangout, we're here every single week. Come hell or high water, we're here all the time. Maybe Pops or Jamie wants to contribute something or say something along these lines.
Yeah, and Shemaya just made a comment that she's afraid to tell her story, so I'm going to tell her exactly what I told Dave right before we jumped on live. You know, Shemaya, I understand you're scared to tell your story. The first time I really told my story, I was scared too. But after you start telling it, you'll just flow into it. The 3 things you want to cover by telling your story: where you started, where you went to, and where you are now. So you want to start out why you started this online journey, what problems and stuff you had along the way, how you overcame them, and then what kind of place you're in now. So, you know, past, present, future. Pretty much 3 simple steps. And I learned that from the great Diane Hockman. That's how I told my story last week. I started at the beginning. You know, I did skip a big part of my story, and that's a part I don't like to tell. You know, a lot of people know that story, that part of the story that's been in the workshop and stuff and heard it. And but I always tell where I started from. I started in door-to-door sales. You know, actually, I started, last week I started out and I started in mowing yards around town and stuff for my grandparents and for other people around town. So I started entrepreneurship early, around 14 years old, mowing yards. Where I went, what companies I joined and, where I had my struggles and stuff at, and then where I'm having success at now. And those are three things that you can tell because it's a life journey. Your future's not written yet. It's up to you to write tomorrow. But your past is your past. You just live on your past and you build on it. As you evolve as a person, your story changes. So, you had a big day today. Include that in your story. Your story just evolved from what it was yesterday because you had a big day today. So evolve it as you go. As you grow, your story should grow with you. Sorry, I get excited about that part.
No, we want that. And, stories are what drive everything. Ultimately, somebody out there is going to relate to you. Doesn't matter who you are. And this is why I say, with Shamala, she may be shy, she may be quiet, she doesn't, like to go out in public, whatever the case is, but yet Shamala is able to gain success, and Shamala is able to make a name for herself. And if she can do it, you can do it. And there are so many people just like her out there who want to know how to do it. And there are people just like Jamie, just like Pops, just like Kati, just like myself, people who are living in a third world country, who think that there's no way out, there's no way they can actually get out of the situation. And really, it's just about it's changing the way you think about yourself. You need to understand that there is somebody out there who is almost in the same position you're in. People want to hear that. People are drawn to that. When you can, that's how you make friends. Think about it. When you're kids, oh, you like cherry soda? I like cherry soda. We'll be best friends forever because you got something in common, right? You got something and that's basically what being friends and making connections are all about. You love things that are in common, and when you solving people's problems, you might be saying, well, can a lazy person actually make a success of themselves? You make a video about that, I guarantee you, lots of people are going to be watching that video. My true reflection on the word lazy is I don't think anyone's lazy. I just think people do what they want to do. All right. People like sitting on the couch with Cheetos watching TV all day. They're just doing what they love doing. They love to be entertained. And if they could entertain themselves somewhere else, that would be a good thing for them. So you've got to go with what your strengths are. Maybe Pops, you want to say something? We haven't heard anything from Pops today, so we want to hear from our wisdom keeper.
Yeah, actually, telling your story is one of the best things you can do to help other people, in my opinion, because you're sharing yourself with people, and they want to get to know you anyway. That's why they're even listening, and they'll be more comfortable around you knowing that you have had the struggle and possibly stumbled a few times, so thereby making some mistakes. So you're not the perfect human being that. They're not looking for that, and they'll feel more comfortable, and you can help them by just telling your story and being yourself, and you'll help drive them away from them being so, I don't know, I guess, pounding on themselves and get them out. The whole thing is just to share and get people to change their lives. That's what this is all about, whether it be for in a business environment where they can make some money, or even just to listen to some audios that you can recommend to help them get a better mindset for themselves. That's what this is all about. Network marketing is to help people, networking with people to help them make money, if that's how it works out, become better people. Of course, they're all adults, possibly with children. You can help their children also, because if you're helping the parent, you're obviously going to be helping the child. And to me, actually, when I go down that far to the child, that's what drives me the most, is to try to be sure that them children are going to see a better life than they would otherwise. If I try to hold back, if we hold back and we fail to help somebody, what is that doing to that child, let alone the parent? So to me, that's one of the most important things you do, is tell your story so they can get to know you, because that's what it's all about, attraction marketing. You're not going to sell them anything until they get to know you. They'll know you're not infallible. You do have faults. You're a real human being. You have a family. You used to work for other people, or still do, and work in your business too. Shamila has children, and sometimes the children have friends over. The other day, last Saturday, she had a whole house full of kids running around, and she still made it to the Saturday hangout. You know, that's dedication. That's why she's being so successful. Maria has kids, and she works her tail off. She's here, even though she's lacking sleep because it's in the middle of the night where she's from, partner. And, you know, it's just, that's what you do. But getting back to telling your story, that's an important part of the puzzle to help the parent, help the child, which will then help the next child, hopefully, if it keeps going, if they have a good, successful business. Even if you change their mindset and they don't decide to follow through with a business, you've helped someone. And that's the most important thing. That's what we're made to do ultimately as human beings, to help other human beings who don't understand, who have never been exposed to what we know. We know a lot of things with self-help, mindset, and how to get things done on the internet. You know, I can go on, and I won't, because I'm sure there's other things that need to be said here. But you get the drift of what I'm trying to say. You know, it's all about helping people, and that's an important part of the puzzle. And once you do a couple of times, it'll be easy. Just like you're talking to like, imagine you're talking to a friend, and we're all friends here. And there's no reason you can't be comfortable with us. And if you're not comfortable with us, I would like to know why not. You know, is it us? Is it us? Or are we making you uncomfortable? If we are, well, what can we do to stop that and serve you better, to make you more comfortable to be able to tell your story to us? And we want to get to know you better through your story, just like we want you to feel good about us with our story. So that's what that's all about.
We're afraid of judgments. I think I was afraid of judgment. I'm gonna tell you how I felt on Monday versus today. That Monday, I was afraid of being judged. I was afraid of I wasn't doing it right. I was afraid that I wasn't afraid of anybody. Your beard kind of scares me because it's like all that wisdom. No, but I just wanted to let you know how I felt, and it could be that Shamila is feeling the same way, and Jamie probably felt that same way last year. And those of you who are watching are thinking, I'm deathly afraid of telling my story. I think it's because we're afraid of being judged. And here's the thing that really made a difference, is that I was told that no one can ever tell you that you are wrong about your story, because it's your story. So own that story and just give it a little twist of how could I help someone, like maybe give a lesson, because that's what Dave told me to do. Let's turn that into a lesson. All right, take a time in your life that really gave you an aha moment, and help other people understand why that happened, why it was so important to your life, and someone could use that as an aha moment. Just like how I listened to that training audio saying that I should start a hangout, probably because the person who told me was doing hangouts. It worked for him. It worked for his business. It worked for his company. So obviously he's telling that stuff for a reason. It's obviously Dave's telling us to tell our story. Jamie's telling us, you know, even Bob. I just kind of want to read that real quick. What Bob was saying, what he does for his recruiting job, is that the interview, the job at tell us about yourself, and there's 3 things: your past, present, and where you want to be. And discussed in pepper it with what does that say? Quantifiable accomplishments. He's using big words. Dave, tell Bob to stop using big words, that you can back it up with facts. So I think that's awesome.
Well, you know, there's nothing wrong with being a suspect battalion. I mean, that's just the way that, you know, we like to roll. Suspect battalion is somebody who uses big words. You can try that on someone. But you're absolutely right. You know, the whole idea is that you have something, you know, we're talking about stories, and you have a story, people want to hear it, and it's what drives your business. You keep working on it, you get better at it, you become more adept at it. And here's the other thing, you know, when you do tell your story, don't stop. You know, don't think, well, I've told my story now let's get on to something. Because the truth is that so many people want to hear about you more and more. All right? Whenever you're teaching something, whenever you're putting something out there, pepper your story into your training. All right. Ultimately, I'll tell you this right now, and I'll tell you this, and this is 100% true, that people are more attracted to your story than they are training. People are more attracted to your story than they are the training. The truth of the matter is that the systems that we are involved in inside of My Lead System Pro, that we're all connected with, because My Lead System Pro is unique in that it not only has training, it has a huge community. All right, it's got a huge community of mentors, and these mentors are 6, 7, and even 8-figure earners inside of this community. We have systems that work. We have daily calls. We have interactions where you can actually follow people. That's why we use My Lead System Pro. We have a whole bunch of other training that we've also bought because we understand that the importance of buying other training, just like, you know, Jamie buys training all the time. I'm into other systems where I bought training, but My Lead System Pro, especially if you go for the $149 deal a month, they give you the ability to build a blog. They give you an ability to have a capture page maker. They even have a inbuilt autoresponder part of the system. So it's kind of like training wheels for you, so you can get going and you can learn. And the thing is that when people get involved in those systems and they go for the training, they learn inside there when they understand that they need training. But when people are looking online, people are actually looking for people that they can connect with, that they can identify with. They're looking for training, but they're looking for people that they can identify with. And that is ultimately what drives my business. My business is a storytelling business. People listen to my training. It's all about my experiences. It's all about how I've learned about how to get your mindset right. It's all about how I've learned how to keep my focus, how to stop procrastinating, how to stop living in the past and to live in the present, you know, because it's a gift. It's given to you. That's why we call it the present, because it's a gift. You live in the present, and you go along this wave and you attain success. That's an amazing thing. And it really is an amazing thing to be a part of. And we would not be in the position where we are had we not joined inside My Lead System Pro. The unique thing about joining our team is this, is that you get invited to be part of our workshop. And the workshop we have runs every Saturday that we have. We took a break this Saturday, but we run it every single Saturday. And we actually get a chance to interact with you. All right, we get to see you on video, and you get to ask questions. And we are there to help you along your journey so that you can get the appropriate help we can give you. But you don't just get in, and it's not a situation where we do the work for you. You need to understand that you are there because you are responsible for your business, right? You are the one that needs to be successful. And so when you join us, we will get you part of a group where we want you to make a video telling us 3 things about yourself, all right? Who you are, your strengths and weaknesses, and why you want to get into the workshop. Once you've made your video, we will add you inside of this workshop where you'll be part of a 24-hour chat, all right? And this 24-hour chat runs all around because some of us sleep in different parts of the world. But if you have a question, you can put it in there, and we will give you the answers that you need to hear. And sometimes they will be difficult answers that you may not want to hear. And I've just had a couple of people ask me questions this week, and they've said, Dave, how can you do so and so? And I give them straight answers. And some people don't like what they hear, so they go and look for an answer that's better suited to them. They think that they will hear an answer that's going to compromise with the way they're thinking. But the truth of the matter is that you need to hear answers that are going to get you out of your comfort zone. You need to hear answers that are going to stretch you. You need to hear answers like, make your own video. Learn how to do it. But I don't know how to make a video. Learn how to do it. And if you've got kids, get them to show you how to do it. All right, be resourceful. All right, because they can teach you a lot. Believe me, I know this. All right, sometimes I won't know how to do something, and if I'm around a teenager, I'll say, how do you do this? And they show me exactly what to do. All right, take your pride and throw it out the window. All right, get people who are able to help you and teach you so that you can learn how to do it. And that's why we love Google. That's why we love YouTube, because we just type out a question and it's full of solutions. Hint, hint, you create solutions for people that way, and that's how people get to follow you. So, yeah, anybody else want to say anything? I'm just reading the comments.
Yeah, Katie said I could say it. I have had something in my mind, and all of a sudden I went, flew out. I don't know. What was it? Ah!
That's why I got a piece of paper down. When Katie was speaking, I made these points down. One of them was that, you know, when you were telling us your story, one of the key things you did was you met people. You met people, and you just kept on meeting new people, and then you fell into a strategy where you learned it and you repeated it and you did it, and that is part of it. That is definitely a huge part of your success. The fact that you just kept on meeting new people until you found somebody that was willing to give you the time, and that's how you do it. I mean, that's what I did when I first found Ryan. I was looking for people, but nobody wanted to answer me back. But I got in touch with Ryan. He got in contact with me, and we were emailing back and forth, and then we eventually got into a Skype call. We started chatting, and that's how I started. And I'm pretty sure that a lot of people watching here will say the exact same thing, that they reached out to somebody and nobody answered. They reached out, and then finally somebody answered them back. And that's the most amazing thing, when you can actually get that type of thing.
Yeah, I've become the connector, basically, because I've built my network of a lot of successful people. And I kind of feel like I rub elbows with a lot of them, but some of them I've actually sat down and had dinner with and talked to and private chats and get coached in a way. Just becoming friends with them. I'm not expecting anything in return at all. I treat them like they're human beings, and we just chat, and sometimes I learn something and they learn something. They take my idea and run with it, and I don't say, hey, that was my idea, you should put my name on it. I don't care. You know, it's kind of like a mutual thing there, you know. But I think it's badass. It's awesome.
Absolutely. And Katie, thank you once again for telling your story. I'm sure a lot of people could relate to it. And I was hearing it like for the first time now, and I was like, Jill, that's amazing. I mean, that really is amazing. If people want to know what it is that you did, you know, just share your story out. And if you're listening to this for the first time and you're wondering what it is that you need to do to gain success, do what Katie did. Listen to people who are successful. Get into an inner circle somewhere and reach out to people until somebody is prepared to spend a little more time with you and to give you the answers that you need. And that's exactly what she just never gave up. And if the first person you come across doesn't give you the time of day, so what? Just move on to somebody else. Maybe it will, you know, maybe it's something's happened in their life and they don't really have the time to do it. But just keep on keeping on, never give up, don't deviate, and you will get there. I promise you that the person who persists makes it happen. The one who doesn't is the one that leaves all of it on the table. And that's the difference between people who succeed and people who fail. The ones that succeed just never, ever give up. And I mean, that is an endless, evergreen truth that I can tell you works. Nobody's going to give you a handout. Forget that. Forget that. I don't want. And even when you get to the stage where somebody wants to give you a handout, refuse it. Work it out on your own, because it's the worst thing you can get is a handout. That is the worst thing, because once you get a handout, you get used to it. You get used to it, and then somebody else.
I was watching Diane Hockman the other night she was doing a webinar, and for those of you who may not know Diane Hockman, she's an extremely successful network marketer. She was, and now she's a network marketer. She was in MLMs, and she is now coaching, and she took on a new adventure now. But anyway, when she does a webinar, she always needs to have someone on with her. It was just her talking to people that were invited to this webinar. And she doesn't like to be alone. So she has some insecurities. That's the first thing I wanted to say. The second is that she'll be the first to admit that she's not perfect, that she stumble bombs, she screws up most Hangouts because she doesn't know her way around the computers. And she'll be the first to say that. She doesn't doll herself all up with makeup and do her hair. She's extremely herself and comfortable being herself because she has found over time that that's the best thing to do. She doesn't always like the way she appears sometimes, and she'll even say that. But she's still herself. And this gal is worth a bunch of money. She too hangs out with a bunch of money makers. So like I say, she's extremely successful in this industry. So if a person like that can be successful when she is inept at some things, doesn't like doing a lot of makeup stuff unless she's going to an outing, then she'll do up. But I've seen her on Facebook Lives where she is in her pajamas yet, and her hair is just straggly. It looks like she just got out of bed, and she's doing a Facebook Live because she got inspired. Because she's herself. She's real. She connects with her people. Her audience loves it because she's so real, and she had something so important to say that she was willing to get out there as she looked without preparation, without dolling herself up, so she can get the message out. So keep that in mind when you're thinking about being judged, as Katie said, and I can relate to that. I had the same issues about feeling judged when I was trying to get my story together. But then I just realized, you know what, I'm just going to do it. And I did it. And it isn't the same all the time. It's, kind of, but like Jamie said, it's going to evolve. Things are going to come, things are going to go, and some things might pop in your head that might be more relative to the moment, and you'll say something else that's totally different and whatever. But anyway, I wanted to say that if a lady at that caliber in this industry can be that successful and still be herself and not have to be concerned about being judged, you guys, and we all can certainly do that.
Wait. Who wears their PJs on a hangout? Ever? Really? Is that true?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. But I mean that's just getting directly to the point. I mean, when you Kati, I want to ask you a question. I know we're live, everybody watching, and this might be completely you might give me an answer I'm not prepared to hear, but I'm going to ask you this question. When you heard somebody else say start your own hangout, how much energy did you put into getting a hangout page with the affiliate links and all of that stuff?
Actually, when I did a hangout, I didn't do a hangout page. I didn't know how to do any of that.
So I
didn't have a hangout. I didn't have comments. I just had to. I'm like, okay, I knew I had to have a hangout, so I knew the platform to do it with, which is Google Hangout. So I had to watch a few YouTube videos to figure out how to use Google Hangout, and then I had to borrow my dad's laptop that had a camera on it and a mic. So I did that. And then I did my first hangout and just went with it. And just, and what's so humbling about these guys that and gals that I interviewed when I first got started, I'm like, okay, yeah, thank you so much for being here. This was before we go live. And I said, you know, I thank you so much for being here, but I got to tell you, nobody's probably going to watch. And they're like, oh my gosh, that is so totally fine. We're going to talk like 1 million people are watching. This is going to be great, because they've been there too. They've been there and they totally understood what I was doing and they loved it. I wasn't asking them for help. So this is another tip about connecting with high successful people, is that you don't go in a place of, oh my God, I need help. I want to take from you. I need your answers. I need your whatever. Come in a place where, I don't want to say barter, but come in, like you're on the same level plane, saying, you know what, this is awesome. I'm going to help you. You're going to help me. I'm going to get your name out there. I'm going to eventually get some following and our names are going to be together. And, you know, maybe something can come out of it. Someone might follow it. You know, it's kind of like an equal, mutual, like win-win situation. You're not taking from them, right? You're giving them something where they want to contribute. And I make great friends that way, you know? It's just awesome. So I just wanted to say that.
No, I mean, I'm glad you said that, because ultimately, had I heard that years ago and said start your own hangout, my first obstacle would be, okay, I'm going to start my own hangout, but I need to make it look pretty. So I need to get the page, and I want it to look like this person. And then I go into a whole thing about making it look right, and I want to get the button exactly right. And that's the problem, is that when you hear somebody say, do this, just go ahead and do it. All right, just get the live out there. Just start doing it and taking action. You don't need to have a pretty page. You don't need to have something that looks fancy. You just need to go ahead and do it. All right, it's like when people start out and they make their first website. They want to make it look as pretty as a professional. But the truth of the matter is that if your content is good, and if you're being yourself and you just being real, that's what you need. People want real people. They don't want somebody to look pretty and then like there's nothing on the inside. And we're going way over time here, so I'm going to say goodbye to everybody watching, because we like to keep it to an hour. We don't like to go over your time. We want to respect your time. I want to thank Robert and Jamie and Shamala and everybody commenting on the comments and making people feel welcome. Thank you for your participation. We really appreciate you. David Roden, appreciate you as well. And Tom, if you're watching, I sent you a message earlier, buddy. Get in contact with me. I'd like to have a chat with you. And we will see you guys soon. You guys have a great evening. Don't forget Jamie's hangout on Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Maria and Sonia on Tuesday at 10 p.m. I think it's 10 p.m. Eastern Standard. And then don't forget, we will be on Pat's Wisdom Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Wednesday. We will see you guys. Have a great time this week. Cheers. Bye-bye.
We're still live.